Ha! Gotcha! You were about to give an opinion on an album, weren't you? Well, I'm here to tell you that you've got to make music to say anything about music. Huh? How you like that? Ah! Oh, God. Out of all my years of reviewing albums and talking about music, one of the silliest things that I've seen thrown at me again and again and again and again is that you have to make music in order to review music, or that somehow your opinion is more valid as a music reviewer if you make music or are a musician than if you don't. It's also funny when people say this to me because I actually do play instruments. I love playing the bass. Bass is my main axe. I have taken plenty of lessons. I've been playing since I was about 13 or 14 years old. Have sort of learned quite a bit of music theory through the bass guitar. Have been able to apply that to playing a bit of guitar and piano as well. So when it comes to playing music and being a musician and knowing what goes into honing musicianship, yes, I would like to think I do have an understanding of that, even if I'm not like playing on a stage every night in front of an audience. Because, I mean, look, just do any YouTube search and it will confirm that some of the greatest musicians out there on the planet right now are not signed to a label. They're not playing concerts all over the world. They are, in fact, in their bedrooms diddling on whatever it is they play. So being a career musician, in my opinion, is not even a little bit a requirement for reviewing an album. And I think neither is being a musician in and of itself, because while, yes, I do know how to play an instrument and play it fairly well, and I understand a lot of the technicalities that go into music and music composition and all that. When I'm writing a review, while all of this stuff about music and playing music may be in my back history, again, when I'm in that review writing mode and I'm analyzing an album, it's honestly rare that I feel like I'm consciously and directly pulling on any of that experience to actually analyze the record and discuss what the appeal of it or the lack of appeal of it is. I mean, if I did, I would probably have to analyze every single album I talk about from the perspective of the bass line or something like that, which is honestly just silly when you think about it. I mean, look, here's the thing. Sure, it's great if you are a musician and you have an understanding of the music theory or the aspects of certain instruments that go into a certain record, but a lot of the time, the audience has even less of a clue about that stuff than you may as a musician reviewing a record by another musician. When people tune into reviews on YouTube or in a podcast, or they read one on a website, more often than not, they're not really looking for whatever key the song is in, or what the time signature is, or what the exact notes in a particular melody are, or whether or not those notes are played in a fashion that is staccato or legato, or, I don't know, using a little vibrato. Look, it's nice if those terms come up in an album review and the audience understands them, and what you're describing in a particular piece is so significant that it needs description, it needs those words to describe what's going on. But for a general review that's supposed to reach a mass audience, that is not the terminology milkshake that's going to bring all the boys to the yard. I get that there are some websites that review certain genres and subgenres of music and stick to those, and as a result, because the audience is a bit more locked into a particular sound or movement or culture within that musical style, you can get a bit more specific about some things that are unique to that genre of music that may not necessarily play or just go over the heads of audiences that are a bit more wide. But generally, when I do read reviews, issues of music theory and the nitty-gritty details that you usually end up learning when you do gain the confidence and the ability to play an instrument and even perform, these aspects very rarely come up in the review process, in the writing process. Having that experience at your disposal is nice, but what's even better, and I think more important if you're a reviewer and you want to review music, more important than being a musician, I think, is being able to write, being able to communicate an idea, being able to provide a persuasive argument, being able to give a unique perspective. Shockingly, there are tons of musicians that I've met over the years, and look, we can't all be blessed with everything, okay? Nobody's great at everything. I absolutely suck at drawing. I'm terrible when it comes to things like reading and literature. While I do love reading a lot of informational and historical text, when it comes to poetry, literary works at large, I have difficulty getting through them, appreciating them, understanding what makes them good, even if I do like what I'm reading. I have a crazy critical ear when it comes to music. I am very honed in, I'm very focused, I know exactly what I want to hear, I know exactly what, in my opinion, feels like is working, isn't working, and when it comes to reading a novel, I might as well have a blindfold on. That being said, there are loads of musicians out there that I've met who are very talented. I love their records. Some of their albums are my favorite albums of the year, and when I talk with them about their music or the music of other people, they have absolutely nothing to say. It's like they don't even understand what makes their own stuff click, but I know that's not totally the case because they obviously created it, but they're not all that great at communicating it. And when it comes to reviewing, I think communication is key. Communication is kind of the goal. If you can't communicate, you can't review. Just like if you can't compose or assemble coherently a musical idea, whether it be on a recording or in a performance, you can't music. Another angle that makes this argument or this perspective really funny is that people have opinions on things that they have truly no experience in all the time, and hey, a great deal of those opinions are actually kind of legitimate. Despite a vast majority of movie-going audiences not being cameramen or directors or actors and actresses, there's quite a few people out there who can very accurately detect whether or not a movie is suck. And musicians the world over, as far as I know, also do not moonlight as world-class chefs. So if any of you do happen to find yourselves in a restaurant and you are served a meal that absolutely sucks, it is not your experience or lack of experience with cooking that's telling you it sucks. It's literally your ability to taste. At the end of the day, a review, an opinion, it's still subjective. Even if you're going into it with a wealth of knowledge of music composition and production and musicianship and so on and so forth. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. This long-standing question, response, meme, sentiment that you must be a musician to review music. I personally, the reviewer that also can play a mean bass, I say, no, you don't have to be. It's not a requirement. There are many, many, many other factors, most of them having to do with writing and communicating, that makes you a quality reviewer than just simply being able to play an instrument or sing. Thank you very much for watching. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel, Anthony Fantano. Music, reviewing, musicianship, forever.